So I don't know if this is insensitive to bring up, but aside from the school shooting that happened in Texas, I really feel like Texas is like almost ontologically evil or something. I guess I'll just explain what I mean. Ontologically, it's just like unnecessary, like already like mystical evil that doesn't have any like social underpinnings like financial or food resources and other things people that will naturally fight over or any animal will fight over. Evil as in just for the sake of doing horrible terrible stuff. Okay, so Texas, it's really messed up because you got all these orphans, you know and that was a big thing that the media was talking about for a while. Luckily, the UCLA hasn't taken away LGBT rights from there yet, but I mean, I think it passed in the Senate, in the Texas Senate. Uh, yeah. So, uh, luckily, it didn't really get anywhere. There's also talks of the language of teaching Martin Luther King and women's suffrage and stuff like that being changed. The language is uh, not like it used to be. If you look up banning Martin Luther King in Texas schools, it'll tell you that it's false, I think, but they still want to. That it was brought up as a thing that they wanted to do, and I believe it was struck down. So we're coming pretty damn close to just having information just totally sucked dry. We can't have a generation of kids who are that ignorant. We have a harder time convincing adults. Um, yeah. I imagine Texans, the innocent or the good people, who care, they have a right to care, but at the same time, I feel like it's a weird compare and contrast of the school shooting and the orphan crisis that's going on in Texas. Like, I this is just me. If I was an orphan, I wouldn't want to be alive. So I imagine most orphans have hope through like religion that's pumped into them. You know, um, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of sad to think about. You know, there's probably people who would be okay with adopting, and then there's people who don't adopt, and they're probably the people who don't adopt are probably like um, outraged by the school shooting, I guess. Which again, um, being an orphan for years and no one loving you because the way the family structure is set up and everybody wants their genetic related kid, like that probably makes kids feel pretty suicidal and awful. And if we are pumping those kids full of religion so that they're not like, I don't know, as a coping mechanism, I guess, it's slightly good, you know, very slightly. And Texas doing all this stuff that it wants, or Texas wanting to do all this stuff that hasn't officially come to fruition. Like, oh my God, the school shooting really just made me realize how bad Texas is. Like, truly. There's probably worse places, but if you're a good person living in Texas, I value you and I love you. I'm sorry you live there or you, you're unable to move because you love your family or financials and friends and other like significant things that would keep anyone attached to a significant location. You know, if all my friends were living in an area and the area was crappy, I might still be living in that area. So this isn't necessarily a essentialist harping on all Texans. And I'm not calling all Texans out for hypocrisy either with the orphan and school shooting thing. Like, even in my opinion, even though my opinion, the harm and depression and suffering and woe gathered up through orphans, you could compare that and it would probably, it's a, there's more magnitude there, but obviously the context of the school shooting is a lot more dangerous. We need to worry about gun violence. It's a big issue, but there's no way we can ban all guns. You realize that, right? If you think gun violence is bad now, like, imagine a black market full of fucking weapons. Okay, I guess then we would have a reason to, like, complain about the guns, since they're being, like, socialized in the wrong way to have them in society. You can't make everything taboo and illegal, because then people will want it and sell it on the black market. Eh, and I'm wondering if, like, there's people just trolling society by doing, like, weird stuff, pretending like there's a trendy drug or a trendy this or that, and they bait them into actually wanting to do that. And, or no, the trendy thing gets purposefully made illegal just to see what people do. And so that creates an underground market of issues that nobody really cared about, but humans are just like, hand waved keys, go, okay, here's the keys, and they throw them and they go chase the keys. They don't need the keys, but since you told them you shouldn't have the keys and you're not allowed, they want the keys now. All right. Shout out to any good Texan people and people who would be associated with, like, white supremacy and stuff like that. Uh, yeah, I'm really sorry. This video might seem harsh, but I kind of feel bad for kids, even though they're generally the scapegoat for a lot of our values that we don't fix. People say think of the children. I think on both sides. But, at the end of the day, we're just, denying them education and calling teachers groomers. Any, like, identity that the kids wanted to come out and talk about, they're being told that it's wrong and to shut up, and that they don't actually want to think like that. It's all the adults just making them think like that. When in reality, when it comes to gender, we kind of assume what they're going to do, and we just place limited choices in front of them. So, I mean, I guess in a way, like, the binary is like that. All right, wow, I'm rambling a bit. All right. Uh, Rip the kids in Texas, obviously, but rip the hearts and souls of the orphans in Texas also. I am not necessarily comparing the struggle of orphans nor the struggle of all those parents that lost their kids. But, you know, this more or less is probably an emotional video. I don't know if I'm sounding rude. I just think that there's something that needs to be done. But, yeah, I don't know what it is, and I don't think anyone does. Banning things isn't gonna work. Alright, see ya.